6 people are believed to be dead this morning after the plane they were in went down off the coast of Point Loma on Sunday. The Coast Guard is leading the efforts to find and recover the victims and the plane's wreckage after finding debris and an oil sheen in the water.
Another tragic loss of life off the coast of San Diego. This time a twin-engine Cessna with 6 people on board crashes shortly after takeoff. And my friends, this one is a real head-scratcher. Let's tune in, and I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on what I think might have happened.
November 414 Bravo Alpha, wind 270 at 10, runway 27, cleared for takeoff.
Okay, the main player here is November 414 Bravo Alpha. He's going to go by 4 Bravo Alpha for the rest of this video. And by the way, I'm on a layover. I just landed. I'm over here in Athens, Greece, and I got the news reports about this, and so I wanted to get it out to you with my initial thoughts on it. Clearly, the NTSB will come out with some more details later on. But I think 2 possibilities here for this tragic accident. One is the pilot got disoriented and basically lost control of his aircraft, or there was something going on with his aircraft that he was fighting and struggling with, or it could have been both. He was fighting with the aircraft, he got disoriented. Let me show you how easy it is to get disoriented. Let's listen in a little bit more.
Southwest 2290, disregard traffic holding in position, runway 27, you are still clear to land.
Okay, I understand now. Clear to land 27, Southwest 2290.
November 414 Bravo Alpha, contact SoCal departure.
Over SoCal, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Okay, so 4 Bravo Alpha, this is a completely normal and routine takeoff out of Lindbergh International Airport. I've been out of there dozens of times. It's a challenging airport, but I don't think the airport has anything to do with this incident. Usually they'll hand you off to SoCal, passing about 1,000 feet. You'll dial in the frequency. Then once you get to the shoreline, SoCal will give you a turn down to the south. You're going to see that all happen here in a minute. Everything for the first, 30 to 60 seconds of this flight is completely routine. But one of the extenuating factors here is this. Close to large bodies of water like this, and I spent a lot of time up in Brunswick, Maine, flying P-3s for the Navy right on the Atlantic Ocean. You would take off and there would be what's called a marine layer, and the marine layer would develop kind of quickly sometimes, and hopefully there'd be another pilot out there ahead of you, and you could say, hey, could you give us the bases and the tops of that marine layer? And so they do get that information here. Their bases are at 1,600 feet, and that's important. Remember that number, 1,600 feet, and the tops are at 2,400 feet. So that's this thin 800-foot overcast layer, but below the bottom of the bases, it's still very hazy. Now, you've got visual cues, and you can see things, but it's still could be potentially a little disorienting. So these guys are going to take off. They're going to get handed off. Are they struggling with the airplane? Is he struggling just with his inner ear? Or is it both?
SoCal departures and the whole 4 Bravo Alpha to 1,000.
414 Bravo Alpha, SoCal departure, radar contact.
SoCal's got him. They're going to start that left-hand turn to the south.
Bravo Alpha, turn left heading 180.
Left heading 180, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Now you can see the altitude readout on 414 Bravo Alpha is 1,500 feet. So since the time he checked in, he's gained another 500 feet. That's completely normal. He's going to start his left-hand turn, and he should be on course to Phoenix, where he's headed. He didn't make it that far. Look at the altitude readout, 1,700 feet, now back down to 16, 17, 18, 2,200, and then look, 500 feet he gets down to. So something happens. He does a 360-degree turn here for no particular reason. It's very unexpected. That will set off all the bells and the alarms on an air traffic controller's screen, and he's going to call, the air traffic controller is going to call 4 Bravo Alpha here in a minute and say, hey, check your altitude, because I just got an alert on my screen. So something happened, and to lose that much altitude that quickly, he probably had to do some sort of like a knife edge 90-degree turn and maybe even hit the wrong rudder. But that all happened right about the base of that marine layer. So as he enters into the overcast, I think it looks from this data that he got disoriented somehow. Now, it could have been coincident with maybe when he was turning the autopilot on. Let's say the autopilot was malfunctioning. and he's fighting the autopilot. I have had airplanes in the past that the autopilot malfunctioned. However, almost every airplane that has an autopilot on it has a quick disconnect right on the yoke. So as you're flying the airplane with your yoke, right there where your thumb is, you can hit the disconnect to the autopilot and it disconnects it very quickly. Was it enough struggle? Potentially. This is just my opinion. Struggling potentially with the autopilot, that he got disoriented in the clouds and now his inner ear is causing problems. He's turning left, but he thinks he's turning right. That it's so insidious when you get in one of these marine layers. Let's say he is struggling in the airplane, but he also gets disoriented at this point. It's very difficult to, again, regain your bearing if you don't have some real solid visual cues. So he's got that overcast from 1600 to 2400, and then below that he's got nothing but haze. So he doesn't have any real solid visual cues. Let's listen.
4 Bravo Alpha approach.
4 Bravo Alpha.
Bravo Alpha, what's your altitude?
1,000 feet. 4 Bravo Alpha.
4 Alpha, Bravo Alpha, low altitude alert. Advise you climb and maintain 4,000 immediately.
Immediately.
Climb, maintain 4,000 immediately. 4 Bravo Alpha.
Okay, so he acknowledges it, and the pilot actually kind of sounds like he's got a normal tone of voice. He doesn't sound panicky yet. He's going to get more panicky here going forward. But this air traffic controller, all his spider senses are up, so he's going to start asking this guy some questions.
Bravo Alpha, are you doing okay there? Do you need any assistance?
Affirmative.
Affirmative. I could get, and it just tapers off. So he says, do you need any assistance? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I think that's a really good indication here that this guy is disoriented and he's not sure kind of which way is up and which way is down. It could be that. It could be that he's still fighting the airplane, although he doesn't say, I'm having a malfunction with the airplane. He doesn't say, he's talking back and forth. He could say that. I think at this point, it's inside his head. Your inner ear, once it gets off, when you were a kid at camp and you played that silly game where you put your head on the end of a baseball bat and you ran around it about 10 times, and then the whole goal was to run in a straight line across a finish line and you simply couldn't, and everybody laughed and you'd fall down. That's what goes on with your inner ear when you get disoriented like this. He's already done this sharp 270-degree turn, a descent, a pull-out, probably put a lot of G's on that airplane. That messes with the inside of your ear. He's really disoriented now. He's going to go back up. Look at his altitude now. He's going back up into that marine layer.
4 Bravo Alpha, what seems to be the issue?
Just struggling right now at present, maintaining steady.
Just struggling right now to maintain heading. What's he struggling with? Is he struggling with a physical thing on the airplane, or is he struggling, is it runaway trim? Was there a CG shift in the airplane? That could be a potential issue here. Did the luggage and shift to the back of the airplane? Probably not. It could be that he's struggling with trying to get the airplane trimmed. Most likely, if he's struggling with any of those physical things with the airplane, it's also causing his inner ear to deceive him, and he's getting disoriented.
LJ 234, Quidrack Julian. Quidrack Julian, LJ 235.
He's at 1,700 feet now.
Also, you're struggling to maintain altitude and headings. Maintain as high as you can for now, at least above 2,000.
Maintain about 4 Bravo Alpha.
Bravo Alpha, the closest airport I can get you to is North Island Airport, which is off to the left in like 1 mile. Do you see that?
Okay, now while this air traffic controller is trying to point out Naval Air Station North Island off his left-hand side, he does another one of these 270-degree whifferdills. He loses a tremendous amount of altitude again. So again, he got back up into that marine layer, and every time he gets up into that marine layer, something bad happens, and he comes back out of it with a steep rated descent, pulls G's on the airplane. I think it's messing with his inner ear. He's going to say here in a second he can't see North Island because it's just too far away. It's just too hazy between here and there. But he's struggling with a much bigger issue than that.
Negative, 4 Bravo Alpha.
Okay, 234 LA Center 128.6. 28.6, LJ 234, good day.
Southwest 2021 cancel takeoff clearance.
Altitude's coming
Southwest
back up
2921,
again,
number
1,400 feet,
Hold for 27 Bravo 1 to reach.
1,700 feet.
Right,
He's
we're
coming
holding short
back
Bravo
up
1,
again.
Southwest 2921.
1,900 feet. He's back in that marine layer
Thank you.
again. And I think this is going to be for the last time.
4 Bravo Alpha, 4 Bravo Alpha. There's an airport off of your
Watch his altitude.
East side, and about 3 miles is a crisscross runway. It's North Island. It's your closest airfield.
There you go.
4 Bravo Alpha. If you see North Island, you're cleared to land. 4 Bravo Alpha. If you see the airport, you are cleared to land.
I think that last Mayday call was when he finally lost control of the airplane. So what goes on from here on is that air traffic control calls him several more times. He doesn't answer. This airplane has already crashed. He never makes it to North Island. He doesn't make it back to San Diego. You see him go up into that marine layer several times. He gets disoriented. The airplane goes back and forth. The possibilities are he's struggling fighting a physical problem with the airplane, or more likely, he's just getting disoriented every time he goes up into that marine layer and he's struggling with his inner ear. It's deceiving him. He thinks he's turning left when he's turning right. He thinks up is down, and it's just virtually impossible at that point, once you have that issue, to right the ship. You can see him struggling with it and trying to do it, but every time he tries to climb back up through that marine layer, he gets disoriented again, and the thing just comes, at a large angle of bank. He comes back down out of it. The third time he does it, there's a crash. Reports said that there was a oil slick and some debris. The Coast Guard was on the scene almost immediately. I think there was a police helicopter that they dispatched to come out and take a look, but nobody survived this crash just off of San Diego. We're going to wait for the NTSB report to come out to give us more clarity on what happened. I just know that there's been times, especially in my military career, where the type of flying you do, it's easy to get kind of disoriented, and you're trained to believe your instruments and fight what's going on inside your head. I don't know his level of training. I know it's exceedingly difficult to do that. I have great compassion for this pilot. I feel sorry for him and the people that were on that airplane. But those marine layers and the haze underneath, it can play tricks with your head. And it looks as though he fought valiantly to hold on to this airplane, but eventually just couldn't do it. So folks, we'll follow up as details warrant, but I wanted to get this one out to you as quickly as possible. Look forward to your comments, especially those guys who have that twin-engine Cessna experience. What do you think happened here? And let me know. We'll follow up as soon as we can when the NTSB gives us more data to go on. Now you know, I'm Captain Steve. Fly safe.